Hello, welcome to another edition of The Naked Truth. My name is John Singletary and
I am Ramon Roan.
Today we're going to talk about Father's Day and the myth of the deadbeat father in the black community. Growing up, I have to say that my father was there. My father was there. I have fond memories. I cannot say for one day that he was a deadbeat dad. Now, oftentimes we hear that, and there are some situations where the father is absent for whatever reason, but that does not mean that on the whole that black fathers or African American fathers are absent from the family or that they're deadbeat dads. Growing up, I never had a action figure, hero action figure, and simply because it never measured up to my dad. You know, he was always my hero from the time I can ever remember to the day he died. And so I have to disagree with the myth of the deadbeat father.
For myself, similar to John, my mother and father were married until his death, 53 years. I do not know what it's like to grow up without having a father in the home. And like John, I looked at we grew up during the Muhammad Ali era. Right?
Oh yeah.
And I always thought, I always looked at Muhammad Ali as being the black Superman.
The greatest.
That's right, next to my daddy.
Exactly right. next to your daddy.
Next to daddy. Next to my daddy, I said, Muhammad Ali is then, he's right below my dad.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
So that's the way I look at him. I said, my dad is smart, he's strong, and he's a loving father. My father was a very affectionate man, but that's unfortunately in today's society. A lot of fathers are not in the home as our fathers were.
Absolutely right. Both your parents and my parents were married well over 50 something years.
Right.
And my father taught me everything from how to pray to how, what a father is supposed to do, what a husband's supposed to do. Oftentimes, in a family, one of the greatest things that he gave me was the fact that he could teach me not only how to pray, how to be a man, but how also to be a loving husband. I saw the affection that he showed my mother. I saw what he actually did without when sometimes we wanted something or we needed something. And I saw the fact that he, in spite of struggling, he still kept his faith, and he still gave back to the community. If he could help someone, he would. I met a lady the other day, and she didn't know that my father had passed, and when I told her, she said, "Son, if you have the man your dad was, then you'll be a good man." Made me feel good, simply because other people in the community knew my father to be a caring, hard-working person, and if they needed, or if he had and he could share, then he would. He was a father figure to many people. In our community.
Oh, yeah,
some
sure
who
enough.
had a father, some who didn't. And so our communities have many good fathers, but oftentimes we overlook them to try and pinpoint and pick out the father who is not doing what he's supposed to, in order to say that, well, all dads, all African American dads are deadbeat dads. And that's just far from the truth. I mean, not just looking at mine, but I can mention many other fathers in the community that I grew up in that were there for their children.
Well, you ran the program, Father to Father.
Right. I worked with a program called Father to Father, as well as a statewide program.
Tell what that program did. That's what the viewers, we would like to let the viewers know. But I thought it was an awesome program. Go ahead.
And it's still going on. On the local level, what they did was they helped fathers become reacclimated when they would go to be locked up from child support. We helped them not only get out, find a job, to get in touch with their child, to live up to the responsibilities of being a father. Some simple things like, you need to cut the habit out of smoking, because the habit that you have, oftentimes the habits, when I got them to sit down and to tally it up, the habits were about equal to what they were behind in child support. per year. So if they simply traded in the habit for paying the child support, then they wouldn't be locked up. So those kinds of things help them to get licensed back. And then the statewide program was a program that did the same thing. Each of the counties had a program that fed into the state program. Father to Father program was one of the local programs that fed into the fatherhood program for the entire state. And so there are good programs out there, there are good fathers out there, and you would be surprised. We had one gentleman who had 8 kids, and probably one of the most memorable stories, because over the time he was in the program, he went from living in the shelter to actually getting custody of all his kids, as well as raising them from elementary school all the way up through high school. And still today, those kids are with him, and he's doing extremely well.
Well, you know, it goes to say that there is a myth about the deadbeat father. And as we understand it, you and I understand it, race is always a factor. In this country, race is always a factor.
Very few things in this country, race don't play a part.
That's right. Well, that's why we got the naked truth.
Exactly right.
And so I was listening to, it was Terry Crews. Terry Crews is on The View, and he was talking about the importance of having father, that kids need their father. And there was the debate between us saying that, there's some women on the panel that saying that, no, they don't.
It's vital.
Exactly. Go ahead.
You can live without a father.
Oh yeah, you can live.
But if you want the best opportunity of not only living and having the full experience of being your upbringing, but if you want to see the interaction that exists between a woman and a man, and use that as example on a daily basis, she can't even show her daughter or her son how to be a loving wife without the father. So it's
exactly right.
Now she can be a mother, but she can't be a wife and show an example of a wife.
Exactly right.
There's no father there.
Well, the thing about it is that, you know, many they look at the successful stories about a single parent raising a boy, and he ends up becoming a good father. Well, that's not always the case.
Right, it can happen. Listen,
Yeah, it can happen. Right.
whether it's there or not, God is going to be good to the child because the child is a gift from Him. But now, don't use as an excuse for whether you male or female to not work through difficult times to be able to provide the child with the experience of growing up with a mother and father. That's something that is robbed from that child,
Right.
because oftentimes it's the adults who can't do the right thing,
Right.
not because of the child.
Now, something else that I read also was that
You can live with one leg, but do you want to?
yeah, exactly. Something else that I read is that about in the same subject matter, that they're saying that the black father are more so to be a deadbeat than the white father or the Korean father, whatever. But that was also a myth, because the black father are actually more and more likely to want to have a relationship with their child, want to see their child more. Now it could be sometimes, you know, the black women. Those mothers may be a hindrance to that, but many times those fathers, they want to be a part of those children's lives. The thing is that we need to understand, and women need to understand, is that it's vitally important for that father to be in that child's life. It may not be, hey, if he's broke, he can't get a job, it's one thing, but you don't want to disrupt that relationship between that man and his child, be it female child or male child. They need that relationship. 20 years, like I told my nephew, I said, son, I said, it's so vitally important that you understand the relationship between your mother and your father. You want to maintain those relationships. Don't wait until you get to 40 years old, 50 years old, and then the light bulb comes up and says, wow, Uncle Ray was right.
Right, you know, there's a clinical, I guess, a clinical condition called PASS, Parent Alienation Syndrome. And that syndrome explains in detail what happens when one parent is alienated from the relationship that exists when a breakup or a divorce actually happens. One of the stories that come to mind is a story by the name of Claudia that has this family, a lady's raising some kids, she's on welfare, and then eventually the older gentleman comes in, they get together, they get married, but it deals with the absence of a male in the life of children.
That's a movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a movie.
It was with Diane Carroll and James Earl Jones.
Right.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Good movie.
Very
Good
good.
movie. Yeah, good movie. Yeah.
And if you ever get a chance to see it, check it out.
Check it out.
Great movie, but it makes you think of the effects of a father when he's missing.
We have to cut that part out. Yeah, we just put pause. You pause it. Let it go down. You know what? I worked it out last time. Yeah.
It'll be. Okay.
When do you think the thing is we'll pick it up?
That's
We
good.
got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up anyway.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it
We're
up.
going a little bit to it. I'm going to say something. You can wrap
Just
it
say
up.
we can continue with the second part of fathers.
Yeah.
Deadbeat, then we can go back and do a little more.
Okay. All right. When that sound goes, just don't think you think it picks it up. Yeah. Yeah. No problem. No problem at all. No problem at all. The kids up there.
No, that's not how. Carl's mom and dad up there.
However, it is so important for fathers to be in their lives, and we encourage, if you are a father and you have a child that you're not with the parent, you're not with the child, living with the child, please maintain that relationship with that son or that daughter, because you impact their lives far. These are critical times in their lives where they need to have your support, and your support may be just be a phone call, or hey, come up, show to school, do lunch thing, what have you. But you need to be in that child's life. And mothers, regardless of your relationship with the father, allow that man to be a part of that child's life. You lay down with them, lay down with him. You had no problem laying down with him.
You love them then.
Yeah, you love him then. Allow him to be in that child's life. Anyway, John, you want to close us out?
Well, stay tuned. We're going to do a second part of Father's Day and the myth of the deadbeat father. So stay tuned. See the second half. And this has been another edition of The Naked Truth.